sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In.
And now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 79 of Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn, and this week we have a review cast. I got a lot of movies to talk about, so we're going to get right into it. Up first, 2016's Sausage Party.
Welcome, shoppers.
Ketchup, mustard, sausages and buns.
I can't be everything you want me to be. I can't be.
Get them straight, boys! Hey, look at this! We've got one!
Oh, yes! We're chosen!
Pick us!
Yes!
Yeah!
We've been chosen together!
Hey, Brenda, you and me.
I'm so happy the gods put our packages together.
It's because we belong together.
It's like we were made for each other.
Get ready, boys!
Feels amazing.
Oh, yes! I'm the first to enter eternity!
Oh, potato! Way to go, buddy!
The pipes are coming. Oh, Jesus, me eyes! Oh, God, me skin! Just peeling me skin!
Oops.
You're eating children! They're just children!
So, you have learned the terrible truth.
I gotta tell everyone.
Everything we believe is a lie.
What if the gods are doing this to us because we touched hips? It wasn't even that. I mean, it was fine. It's not like anyone writes home and says, "Oh God, I had the best tip."
Shake with your mama.
Run, guys, run!
Behavior overstated.
Hey, I am sorry. I accidentally dropped a few things back there.
Hey! I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna fix this.
This is an animated action adventure comedy directed by Greg Ternan and Conrad Vernon. It's a runtime of 89 minutes, rated R, stars Seth Rogen, Kristen Wiig, and Jonah Hill. I watched this on Blu-ray. Synopsis. Life is good for all the food items that occupy the shelves at the local supermarket. Frank the Sausage, Brenda the Hot Dog Bun, Teresa Taco, and Sammy Bagel Jr. can't wait to go home with a happy customer. Soon, their world comes crashing down as poor Frank learns the horrifying truth that he will eventually become a meal. After warning his pals about their similar fate, the panicked perishables devise a plan to escape from their human enemies. I've seen this one a few times, and for some weird reason, it cracks me up. I'm not one of those deep, it's not one of those deep movies you have to think about for laughs. The sheer absurdness and raunchiness of it are what makes it work. It's a type of movie I need to really be in the mood for, but when the mood strikes, it nails it every time. In many ways, this reminds me of some of those classic raunchy late-night 80s comedies, except this one is animated and about talking food. This isn't a film that's going to be for everyone. In fact, I would say many people are either going to be offended by the humor or just find it distasteful. Truthfully, I get that. As weird as this may sound, despite the foul language and suggestive nature of the whole movie, there are actually some good messages thrown in there. If you like other films that Rogen and crew have been a major part of, like This Is the End, Pineapple Express, Knocked Up, and other films of that nature, you'll probably enjoy this one. If those films aren't your cup of tea, it's probably a good idea to avoid this one. My rating for this is a 6 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6.2 out of 10. Up next, 2018's Futureworld.
The world entered a new dark age. I was one of the last synthetics to survive.
You sure this is the place?
Yeah, she's here.
Wake up.
Who are you?
I've been looking for you for a long time.
Show me death.
This is Mikasa, and I'm the Hefe.
Her name's Ash.
She's the perfect woman, right? Incorruptible. God, I love that.
I think I want me a robot.
Why did you save me?
Maybe I'm malfunctioning. I've never had this feeling before. It was at that moment I became aware of exactly how different I was. I had to set things right.
Bring him to me!
You took away the one thing that was mine.
He's mine!
2 guns, 10 bullets. We're gonna need every one.
You say that like that's a bad thing or something, man. Welcome to paradise.
This isn't paradise.
This is a sci-fi directed by James Franco and Bruce Thierry Chung. Has a 90-minute runtime, rated R, stars James Franco, Suki Waterhouse, and Jeffrey Wahlberg. I watched this on DVD. Synopsis. A queen lay dying as her son, Prince, travels across a barren wasteland to find a near-mythical medicine to save her life. After evading violent raiders on motorbikes led by the warlord and his enforcer, Prince meets Ash, a robotic assassin in search of its own soul. When the drug lord captures Prince, he soon finds himself in an epic battle to save the last remnants of humanity. I've looked at this one a few times while at Redbox kiosk, but wasn't really sure if it was worth the time. I'd never heard of it, and that usually isn't a good sign when it comes to films like this. Occasionally, though, one slip under the radar and you find a gem. Beyond the Skyline and Party Bus to Hell are great examples of those. So, with a loaded cast and an interesting premise, I decided to give it a shot. There are some really good ideas in this one, but overall, it's just not a good film. It drags terribly, which is not a good thing for a film of this type. You can get away with a slow film if the story itself is well crafted and there are brilliant moments of action to balance it out. That wasn't the case with this. It felt like there were good ideas that were never fleshed out. I found myself zoning out constantly, and it was damn near impossible to pay attention. I appreciate the hell out of genre flicks like this, but they're often more miss than hit. Even having lowered expectations going in, the cast was way underutilized. With some damn solid veteran actors, I expected more. Instead, they feel like they're there more for name recognition only. They're very cardboard. There's nothing in any of the action sequences that stood out or were even all that interesting. I can't even pick out any of the moments from the film that stood out to me. I would only recommend this to die-hard genre fans, and even then, only if you're really bored. My rating for this is a 3 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 3.1 out of 10. Up next, 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout.
There cannot be peace without first a great suffering. The greater the suffering, the greater the peace. The end you've always feared is coming. It's coming. And the blood will be on your hands.
I prayed to God that it wasn't true.
Solomon Lane escaped in Paris.
And now the world is at risk.
This is the CIA's mission. You use a scalpel. I prefer a hammer.
This is a bad idea.
Is it ever a good one? Honestly. He's not just some observer. He's an assassin.
I don't trust anybody outside of this room. You go rogue, he's been authorized to hunt you down and kill you.
That's the job. No hard feelings.
Which way, Benji?
Turn left!
Go, 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 go!
What are you waiting for?
I'm jumping out a window! Oh, sorry. Good luck.
When the clock stops, Ethan Hunt will lose everyone he ever cared about.
You don't understand what you're involved in.
You need to walk away.
Please don't make me go through you.
Ethan, that's not who we are.
Maybe we need to reconsider that.
Accept it, Ethan. You've lost this one. What's done is done.
What's done is done when we say it's done.
Showtime.
Oh my God.
This is an action-adventure thriller directed by Christopher McQuarrie, has a 147-minute runtime, rated PG-13, stars Tom Cruise, Henry Cavill, and Ving Rhames. I watched this in the theater. Synopsis. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team join forces with CIA assassin August Walker to prevent a disaster of epic proportions. Arms dealer John Lark and a group of terrorists known as the Apostles plan to use 3 plutonium cores for a simultaneous nuclear attack on the Vatican, Jerusalem, and Mecca, Saudi Arabia. When the weapons go missing, Ethan and his crew find themselves in a desperate race against time to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. I've only watched the first 2 Mission Impossible movies once, and that was years ago when they first came out. I don't remember much about them, so I was curious if that would hinder my enjoyment of the new one. I went in not knowing what to expect other than it had been getting good reviews and looked interesting enough. There's a lot to like about this one. It's an interesting storyline, and there are some incredible action sequences. The acting's fantastic and some stunning cinematography. I rather enjoyed it, but felt like because I hadn't seen some of the other films or remembered anything about them, I missed some inside-type jokes and references. This reminded me a lot of the Bond films in many ways, with a slightly different twist here and there. Overall, a great flick to go see in the theater on the big screen with huge sound. That certainly amplified the experience. The only qualms I might have with it is the runtime. It did feel a bit drawn out in parts, but not enough to hinder the overall effect of the film. It takes something quite amazing for me to really go much beyond 2 hours in a film, and this was definitely one of those. If you're a fan of the series or a fan of espionage-type films, you'd more than likely dig this one. My rating for this is an 8 out of 5, or 8.5 out of 10, and the average IMDb rating is an 8.3 out of 10. Up next, 1988's Red Scorpion.
In Rocky
Rocky IV, he fought for his country.
What the hell is this?
Now, Dolph Lundgren is taking off his gloves and taking on an entire army. One man at a time. Red Scorpion.
The impetus behind the rebellion is this man. He is your targeted objective.
His one mistake meant a death sentence.
I leave you as an insult to your people. How could you fail?
Their one mistake.
We'll have a band-aid.
You're breaking my bleeding heart, Moose.
Was not finishing the job.
We will deliver our response.
This is the rebel army.
Pride of the Soviet army.
First he was their weapon. Now he's their punishment. They think they control him.
Let's kick some.
Think again.
You might need some help!
Dolph Lundgren. Red Scorpion.
The genre is action-adventure, was directed by Joseph Zito, has a 105-minute runtime, rated R, stars Dolph Lundgren, M. Emmett Walsh, Al White. I watched this on DVD. Synopsis. A Soviet Special Forces soldier is sent on a mission to infiltrate an African rebel army and assassinate its leader, but when the war machine they train starts to think for himself. I've seen bits and pieces of this one over the years and liked it. What I saw, anyway. But don't remember ever watching the full film. When I had a chance to snag a cheap copy on DVD, I decided to grab it. This one's very much in the vein of films like Commando, Lone Wolf McQuade, Rambo 2 and 3, and the Mission in Action films. It's one man against the enemy. At the core, they are films about redemption, righting wrongs, and conquering the demons within ourselves. They may be done in a violent, testosterone-soaked, over-the-top action sort of way, but the subtext is there. For me, this film came out during the golden age of the action film between the late 70s and late 80s. It was a period where action films oozed machismo and were unapologetic in what they were. There's a cheesy quality about the films that keep them grounded, but at the same time it has that make you want to raise your fist in the air and root for the good guy aesthetic. I'm honestly surprised this didn't spawn a bunch of sequels like most of the above-mentioned films. This will appeal to those who grew up during a certain time period, those who took these films in like the gospel, the kids who grew up on HBO and Saturday nights at the video store. It's very much a product of its age. I'm not sure outside of films like The Expendables you could pull off something like this now. Maybe, but I just don't think Hollywood has this type of film in them anymore. If you're a fan of action films like the ones mentioned above, I recommend tracking this down. While it may not be quite on par with those films, it's damn close and definitely worth a watch. My rating is a 6 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 5.1 out of 10. Up next, 2016's Range 15.
My fellow Americans, as you are all painfully aware, the last few days since the crash of an aircraft carrying an unknown virus have been full of sorrow, heartache, and deep despair.
Range 15. You have to get to Range 15.
It is believed that one of them is responsible for saving mankind.
Good afternoon, Mr. Best. What's Range 15?
It's a fallback point for an ELE.
I'm not gonna leave the fate of the world to you f***offs. I prefer my guy. Keep your ears buttered up while I set fire to the rain.
So why are we going to range 15?
That's where the scientists are, and we have the cure.
Stay away from the glass.
If this was a zombie movie, you'd be getting ripped through that glass right about now.
This is a zombie movie! Look, Matt, sometimes things can look pretty bleak.
Shut the f*** up!
We're all gonna die because of your fat ass! You fat, fatty! I can't even f***ing believe how fat you are!
Admire the toughness.
Colonel, did you just decide not to shave this morning, or?
It's the end of the world. F*** you.
Holy shit, it is f***ing awesome! It's Marcus Luttrell! Don't worry about a thing!
Looks like we're the lone survivors now.
This one is a comedy horror directed by Ross Patterson. Has an 89-minute runtime, rated R, stars Matt Best, Lindsay Lamb, Keith David, and Mindy Robinson. I watched this one on Amazon Prime. Synopsis. Veterans wake up after a night of partying to find out that the zombie apocalypse has spread across the United States. I was searching for something to watch that I'd never heard of or knew very little about. I was just in one of those moods where that's what I wanted. Sometimes it's fun to be able to go in blind with no preconceived notions about what to expect. In my search, I came across Range 15. The synopsis wasn't what so much grabbed my attention as the cast. It was loaded with talent and a lot of former MMA fighters that I'm a fan of. I figured, what the hell, it might be at least interesting. What the hell did I just watch? Vulgar, hilariously entertaining, and campy as all hell. The whole time I was watching, I felt like I was on the outside of some weird inside joke. This is one hell of an odd duck film, but that's what made it enjoyable. There are lots of interesting little cameo appearances, and I found myself howling with laughter several times. Sure, some of the humor is very juvenile, but it's unapologetically violent, but it also feels very self-aware of what it's doing. This is not going to be a film for everyone. In fact, I would dare say it, safe bet it's going to only appeal to a niche group of movie lovers. If you're going in expecting Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland, this is not those films by a long shot. The technical aspects of the films are fairly solid. The song selection that went with it is very obvious, but also what makes it kind of hilarious. It's a very hard movie to explain in its absurdity. My best description would be a dude bro comedy mixed with a military recruitment video and a trauma movie. On a side note, fun fact brought to you by IMDb, the budget for this film was $1 million, raised on Indiegogo. It was made by military veterans, and over 75% of the cast is made up of military veterans. There is also 3 Medal of Honor recipients in the film playing themselves. My rating for this is a 6 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 5.4 out of 10. And I have a few more Blu-ray and theater type stuff to talk to, but before we get into that, it's time to crack open everybody's favorite portion of Average Joe's Drive-In, and that's the VHS Vault. Welcome to the VHS Vault. This is a portion of the show where I blow off the dust from classic and forgotten films from the VHS days. Films you may have forgotten about, never heard of, or just haven't seen in a while. So, I have wanted to review and re-watch the National Lampoon's Vacation movies for quite a while. It's been years since I've seen some of these, and I figured it's summertime, and now's the perfect time to watch these. It's that time of year, you know? So I decided to have a little marathon while I was on my vacation, and even though that was a few weeks ago, I'm a little behind on some of my reviews here, so it's trying to find the right time to put these in. And before the summer ended, I knew I had to get these in, so this is going to be a very short edition of the VHS Vault, but all concerning the National Lampoon's Vacation films. So up first is 1983's National Lampoon's Vacation.
Holiday Road.
This summer, when you think vacation, think National Lampoon's Vacation. See the real America.
Hey, underpants. Hey, yellow.
It's friendly.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Don't you want to look at the Grand Canyon?
It's educational.
Great.
And most of all, it's fun.
The dog went on the picnic basket.
Let Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo,
Clark,
Imogene Coca, Randy Quaid, John Candy, and Christy Brinkley.
Well, are you gonna go for it?
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Take you for a ride. This summer, when you think vacation, think National Lampoon's Vacation.
Better check under the hood.
This one is an adventure comedy, directed by Harold Ramis, has a 98-minute runtime, rated R, stars Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, and Imogene Coca. Synopsis. Accompanied by their children, Clark Griswold and his wife Ellen are driving from Illinois to a California amusement park. The Griswolds deal with car problems and the death of a family member as Clark increasingly fixates on a beautiful woman driving a sports car. They reach Los Angeles, but when Clark worries that the trip is being derailed again, he acts impulsively to get his family to the park. This is one of those classic comedy movies from the 80s that may have a sequel that's better known than the original. I haven't seen this one in years, but recently picked it up on VHS. This one's still very solid, but I have to admit it's starting to show its age quite a bit. I remember howling with laughter at this when I was younger. It didn't have quite the same effect on me now. It's hard to tell if that's just because I've seen it a number of times over the years, or it's because I've grown up and the same things don't resonate with me the same way. It's well shot, the acting's solid, and there are plenty of classic lines and moments throughout. The characters we've all grown to love are there. It's sort of like visiting that dysfunctional portion of your family you only see every so often. You're glad to see them, but you cringe a bit every time you do because, you know, you're just waiting for what disaster story awaits. Outside of Christmas Vacation, I've seen this more than European Vacation and Vegas Vacation. So, this makes me look forward to watching both of those again, as it's been years. I'm curious if I'll enjoy them or just find them kind of okay. Only time will tell, and you'll find out in my upcoming reviews. My rating for this one is a 7 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 7.4 out of 10. Up next, 1985's National Lampoon's European Vacation.
This summer, when you think vacation, watch out.
Carcone!
The Griswolds are going to Europe.
Hey, Dad, look. Bedpans.
This is your chance to travel the continent with them.
Will you please slow down? The kids are exhausted.
Honey, it closes in 15 minutes. There are 100,000 works of art to see. Come on!
Create your own ruins.
The English are certainly,
make new friends.
No harm done, yes. It doesn't really hurt much at all.
Visit distant relatives.
Well, there it is, kids. My motherland.
Dad, Grandma's from Chicago.
Shut up, Russ.
So, see the old country before there's nothing left. Chevy Chase in National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Hold it.
The vacation getaway for the family everyone is trying to get away from. National Lampoon's European Vacation.
This one is an adventure comedy directed by Aimee Heckerling, has a 95-minute runtime, rated PG-13, stars Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, and Dana Hill. Synopsis. After winning a European vacation on a game show, Clark Griswold convinces his reluctant family to accompany him. His wife, Ellen, is excited, but daughter Audrey is reluctant to leave her boyfriend behind, while teen son Rusty dreams of meeting girls. After arriving in London, the clan encounter one disaster after another as they travel through France, Germany, and Italy, while Clark attempts to cheer everyone up, only make things worse. After watching National Lampoon's Vacation the other day, I was anxious to see European Vacation. I remembered bits and pieces of it, but it wasn't one of those films that were fully ingrained in my psyche, not like the original or Christmas Vacation. I remember sort of liking this one when I was younger. Upon rewatch, I can't say the same. It's really not a good movie. It has a few moments here and there, but overall felt forced, like a poorly thought out cash grab on the success of the first film. While sometimes a film feeling like the decade it was made in can be a good thing, it doesn't feel that way here. It honestly feels more like a hindrance than a bonus. A lot of the humor was very specific to that era. Even as someone who grew up in that time period, it really didn't hit. I think that's a big part of the reason it hasn't aged well for me. Maybe those jokes 20, 25 years ago hit with me a lot more. Today they just don't. I'm sure I'll give this another view at some point, but it's not one of those films I'm going to be clamoring right back to. My rating is a 4 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6.2 out of 10. And last, 1997's National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation.
Rusty, Audrey, honey, I'm home.
Look out, America. The Griswolds are ready to get away.
To fantastic Las Vegas.
But there's some things they just can't get away from.
Can you believe it? They used to test H-bombs on this beautiful piece of property.
Don't you worry about radiation.
All I know, Clark, is that my teeth have never been whiter and my garden is spitting out 50-pound tomatoes.
It seems as if anytime we do a vacation movie, Randy said, well, I'm into something else now. I'm a serious actor. All right, I'll do it. And then before you notice, hey, Clark, and it's Gomer Pyle or something. You don't know what the hell came out of him, but he just falls into this character that is riotous, and he's stealing this movie.
Hose down now, kids. Chicken's almost ready.
Let's let him get into some trouble.
Great. Love ya. I'm starting my vacation! Are you thinking of dancing, honey?
She's got a body for it.
You're in Vegas. Come on.
Together, they're visiting the wonders of the world.
Hoover Dam. I am your damn guy. Take all the damn pictures you want. Now, are there any damn questions?
Yeah, where can I get some damn bait?
And enjoying world-class entertainment.
Ooh. Holy cow. Wayne Newton's hitting on Mom.
I can't tell you how many times at the end of a take I'll just be laughing and thinking this is the greatest job in the world. I love playing Ellen Griswold with Clark Griswold as a husband. And this script is great, too.
It is. It's hilarious.
Way to go! Yeah!
This guy's with us. You take care of him. Thank you.
The torch of the Griswold Vacation.
10 years of tap dancing lessons and this is how you repay me?
Is being passed to a new generation.
Rusty!
Now out of the pool! Let's go, young man!
Yeah,
now!
Chevy Chase.
This is Steve.
Beverly D'Angelo.
Feeling lucky tonight, Sparky?
Not right now, honey. They're teaching me backward.
Randy Quaid.
Has anybody ever told you before you're bad luck?
Those were my mother's dying words.
Vegas Vacation. Get ready for a real trip.
This one's a comedy, directed by Steven Kessler, has a 93-minute runtime, rated PG, stars Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, and Randy Quaid. Synopsis. The Griswolds are off on a family outing to Las Vegas, where they each have their own misadventures. Hapless dead Clark immediately starts losing money at blackjack. His wife Ellen develops a crush on lounge performer Wade Newton. Elsewhere, young Rusty is enthusiastically playing dice, and his sister Audrey winds up in seedy nightclubs. Can the family reunite and stay out of trouble? I've watched this one a handful of times over the years and always found it entertaining. After watching the rest of the series and not seeing this in several years, I wanted to throw it on. For me, this one falls somewhere in between European and the original National Lampoon's Vacation. It has some good moments scattered throughout, but it's far from consistent. The Griswold family dynamic is there, the running gag of Audrey and Rusty is still there. It's more of the same things we've come to enjoy about these films. It doesn't deviate from the formula too much. The new location brings some new mischief and maladies, but doesn't change up what the film are at their core. If you're a fan of the series, you'll enjoy this one. Just don't expect anything different and new. The only thing I can really say about it, it's easily the tamest of the vacation flicks. My rating is a 5.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 5.9 out of 10. That wraps up this edition of the VHS Vault. Hopefully, it took you on a trip down memory lane or gave you insight on a film you've never seen before. For now, it's time to close and secure the vault. Back to the DVDs and Blu-ray. Or, well, a DVD and a theater movie, I guess I should say. So up first, 1981's Dragonslayer.
What you thought was a medieval myth is about to become 10 tons of rapacious reality. No maiden is safe. No village secure. And no one can save the kingdom except the sorcerer's apprentice, whose courage is greater than his skill.
An apprentice. This is no warrior.
Serum sanguinarium.
Call him what they will, only he can create a weapon worthy of the name Dragonslayer.
Edge like no other on this earth.
An adventure like no other on this earth. Dragonslayer. Motion picture wizardry that takes you into the dragon's lair. Behold the beast. Pray for the hero and see Dragonslayer.
This is an action-adventure fantasy directed by Matthew Robbins, has a 109-minute runtime, rated PG, stars Peter McNichol, Caitlin Clark, and Ralph Richardson. I watched this one on DVD. A terrible dragon is terrorizing the medieval land of Ireland in the 6th century. Representatives from the kingdom seek the assistance of the wizard Ulrich to defeat the dragon immediately. Ireland has been delivering virgins to appease the dragon, and their princess has rigged the lottery system they use in order to sacrifice herself. But when Ulrich is killed, The task to confront the dragon falls to the wizard's apprentice Galen. This is one of those films I grew up loving and watching numerous times when I was younger. I've always thought it was one of the better 80s fantasy flicks. The effects in this film have always stunned me at how realistic they felt and looked. I've been trying to track it down for a long time and finally found a copy for $4. So I snagged it, came home, and threw it on. While I still love the hell out of this one, it hasn't aged as well as I'd hoped. It's still a fantastic tale, but it was much slower than I remembered, and the effects didn't look quite as good. But they still were good. I love the performances of the characters, and there's a certain feel to it that still resonates about the film as a whole. I will say this, the dragon is still one of my favorite creature effects in any film. It looks so damn menacing and demonic. There's an air of threat to it you often don't find with dragons in films. Even in some of the sequences, it's a bit dated looking, it still looked awesome. Even if this film hasn't aged as well as I'd hoped, I'm glad to have it back in the collection to throw on whenever I want. If you're a fan of fantasy films and have never seen this one, I recommend tracking it down and giving it a watch. My rating is a 6 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6.7 out of 10. Up next, 2018's The Meg.
There's a monster outside.
What you people discovered is bigger than we ever thought possible. How big is that thing?
It was the largest shark that ever existed.
A living fossil.
Thought to have been extinct for over 2 million years.
Wrong.
Megalodon.
He's kidding, right?
That thing's out there. We need to find it and kill it.
Why don't you just put a tracker on it? Did you guys ever watch Shark Week?
He looks heroic, but he's kind of got a negative attitude. Chew on this, you ugly.
This is an action horror sci-fi directed by John Turteltaub. Has a 113-minute runtime, rated PG-13, stars Jason Statham, Bingbing Lee, and Rainn Wilson. I watched this in the theater. Synopsis. A massive creature attacks a deep-sea submersible, leaving it disabled and trapping the crew at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. With time running out, rescue diver Jonas Taylor must save the crew and the ocean itself from an unimaginable threat. A 75-foot-long prehistoric shark known as Megalodon. I have been optimistically excited about this one since I first heard it announced. It's one of those ideas that just sounded like grand, stupid fun, so I held back on getting my hopes up too much until I at least saw a trailer. The trailer started dropping and my excitement level went up. It looked like it was going to be everything I wanted it to be. I don't go to films opening weekend very often, but I couldn't help it with this one. It just felt like a film I needed to see in the theater. I'll be upfront with anyone who hasn't watched this yet. Mindset-wise, if you go in thinking more along the lines of Deep Blue Sea rather than Jaws, you'll probably have a good time. If you want serious, deep storylines and Oscar-caliber performances, you probably should avoid it because this isn't it. Also, on that note, why the hell would you go see this movie in the first place if that's what you wanted? This movie itself is just stupid fun with tons of funny moments. The comedy aspect of it actually caught me off guard. I expected a few funny things here and there, like most films of this type, but this is just a straight up funny throughout. There are plenty of grandiose action sequences, a character you just flat out hate because he's such an atypical asshat, and some beautiful CGI. The film itself is very well shot, and I even had a hard time telling whether the effects were practical or CGI in spots. They blended together well. I thought the acting was solid for what this film is. It's about what I expected. I will say there is a few moments in this, though, effects-wise. Like 90% of it looks awesome, but then there's about 10% here and there where the effects look kind of like maybe not quite finished. I don't know. It's just weird. But, I mean, they're not terrible. I've definitely seen a hell of a lot worse. Like anything, there were a few things here and there that could have been better, but none of those things were enough to hinder my enjoyment of it. I personally would have liked to see it be a tad bit gorier. I think that might have pushed this up a notch, especially with the type of story this is. On the other hand, that's more of a preference than an actual hindrance type thing. This was exactly what I wanted out of a summer blockbuster-style film. It's a fun theater-going experience. It's the type of movie you want to see on the big screen with a great sound system. What I would consider the perfect popcorn flick. My rating is a 7 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6.2 out of 10. And that is going to wrap up this edition of Average Joe's Drive-In. I'd like to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes. Go to www.maincannababes.com for more information. They are currently shooting the 2019 calendar. So if you want to pre-order that, go to their website and the information will be there. You can also see a preview of some of the girls that will be in this year's calendar along with the theme. You can find out more information about cannabis legislation and information in general about cannabis and its many wonderful uses. It's chock full of awesome info. Anyway, that's maincannababes.com. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the show as always, and please keep spreading the word. If you have any questions or comments, please go to www.thomaswashburnjr.com. There's a link to all my social media pages there, so hit me up on whatever your preferred social media account is, and I will do my best to answer your questions, or I may even answer them on the air. And I want to leave you all with one last thought. Remember, kids, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Thanks for listening to Average Joe's Drive-In. If you'd like to talk movies or contact the show, add our social media pages. You can add us on Facebook at Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast, on Twitter at TWJ Author, on Instagram at Thomas Washburn Jr. You can also hit up www.thomaswashburnjr.com for more information about the show and related links. If you'd like to support the show, you can buy TJ's books on Amazon. Just type in Thomas Washburn Jr. in the search. Books are available in Kindle and paperback formats. If you have Kindle Unlimited or Prime, you can read the books for free and money will be earned by the pages read. It doesn't cost you anything, and it supports the show. Until next time, you've been listening to Average Joe's Drive-In.